Oh, hi. This is a top 5 video because unlike my recent ones, I want to mix it up a little bit with these countdown videos rather than just do top 10, top 10, top 10, top 10. This is going to be a shorter one, so I always liked strategy games, which is this topic right here. Um yeah, even just like board games, for example. Like, I was never too good at chess, but Stratego, that's a really good game. I remember the first time I played that, I won against my opponent. That's what I like about strategy. Trying to outwit your opponent in the um, in video games, for example. There's all the text and dialogue. It really gets you into the the atmosphere of the game. So, number 5 is Final Fantasy Tactics on the Game Boy Advance. It's not. I guess it's a version of the. It's not exactly the same as the PlayStation 1 version, which I've never beaten. Well, I've never beaten this one either, but I did get farther in this one than I did in the PlayStation 1. And they've said that it's. I guess it's very rare for people to beat the PlayStation 1 version. Yeah, but this one is really cool. You play as. It's like a group of friends get sucked into the world of Final Fantasy, which is really cool. Which would be and there's different species, like the Moogles are in it, and there's these lizard creatures known as Bangas. And like Final Fantasy, it has the other Final Fantasy Tactics. It has all the different classes, like uh, black mage, white mage, thief, all that kind of stuff. And you can do my brother and I bought this when it first came out, which I think was 2003, and you could do a co-op mode or a system-like mode, which my brother and I did one time. That was a lot of fun. So, yeah. Number 4 is Shining Force Resurrection of the Dark Dragon. This is an updated version of the Sega Genesis version, which I have played. I played a lot of the Shining Force games, but this one is definitely more of an. I don't want to say an improvement over the Sega Genesis one. But it's like the hero, for example, actually talks, because he didn't in the Genesis version. The hero doesn't talk, which is kind of cool. I mean, Link doesn't talk in the Zelda games, but yeah, he doesn't. He talks in this version. There's a few more characters. That's what I like Shining Force, because it's like it's in like a mystical. It's a lot of there's a lot of mythical creatures in it, like elves and dwarves and even centaurs. There's animal people. Like, I remember there's a wolf guy you get who's really cool. He's one of my best characters. That's really the only flaw about these types of games, is that there's so many characters. There's at least 30 characters in the game, but you can only bring a dozen with you at a time, including the hero. So it's like you have to narrow it down to like, oh, some of these characters are so awesome. Like, which ones do I want to bring with me? Or maybe that's just me. Number 3 is Project X Zone for the Nintendo 3DS. I remember seeing the trailer for this game, and I was like, I have to buy that. And I actually have. I bought it when it first came out. I got the special edition version, which it came with like a soundtrack, a little booklet that shows all the characters, which I wish I had with me, but I don't, and a poster that has them all on it. But basically, it's it says right on the back, the ultimate crossover game, which I'd probably agree, because it's characters from, as you can see on the cover here, it's characters from Capcom, Sega, and Namco, or Namco Bandai, whatever. So it's each unit consists of 2 characters, like Ken and Ryu, or Jin and Zhou from what's that game called? Tekken. Sorry. Or Chris and Jill from Resident Evil. Akira and Pai-Mei from Virtua Fighter. The list goes on, but each unit consists of 2 characters, so it plays out like a strategy game. You move your character around, but when you attack an enemy, it goes into this cinematic type of thing, and it plays out kind of like, what's that game called? Marvel vs. Capcom. Like, you do different. Basically, it's just B and it's basically just B or B and left or B and right, and then as you level up, you unlock more combinations, and you do like a combination of moves. You can also have a third-party character. A third person in your group in the so making it like a trio, and you can summon them in. And sometimes you can have another duo or unit attack with you, so you can literally have 5, and then you can call them all in at the same time. So you have 5 characters all attacking that one enemy at the same time. It's really cool. Yeah, I recommend it for the 3DS. Project X Zone, a must-play game for the 3DS. It's phenomenal. Number 2 is Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn for the Wii. I mentioned much of the Fire Emblem franchise in my top 10 GameCube videos. So there's not really... I don't need to go too deep into detail as I did in that one, because I already mentioned most of it in that. But most Fire Emblem games are different stories. This one is a sequel to the GameCube one, Radiant Dawn. So Ike is in both of these. This one takes place 3 years after Radiant Dawn. Path of Radiance. Yeah, but there's, as far as I know, Fire Emblem, there's only been 6 of them that were released here outside of Japan. Because I actually read about it in a Nintendo Power. One of them was the January 1994 issue. And there was a section of games that were never released outside of Japan. One of them was the Fire Emblem series, because at the time, see, RPGs, well, strategy and RPG are different, but some people kind of think of them as the same thing. But RPGs and strategy are the most popular game genre in Japan. So back in the 90s, they weren't as popular here yet. I mean, they were getting there, but not just as popular. So, Fire Emblem, it wasn't released till 2003 that the Fire Emblem series was released here, and there was 6 of them that have come out here so far. The only one I've never played was Sacred Stones for Game Boy Advance. I played 5 out of 6 of them, but this one is my favorite. This game is awesome. Excuse me. Number 1, which is one of the best games I've played ever, is Vandal Hearts for the PlayStation 1. I've beaten this game more times than I can remember. It's phenomenal. I've literally lost track of how many times I've beaten this game. I friggin' love this game. It's Konami, and there was a couple of sequels. Well, the second one, which was also for PlayStation 1, I have that. I've beaten it a couple times. Then there was that one. That one and this one, they don't really intertwine with each other. The stories are very different. But the third one, there was another one for Xbox Live, which is pretty good. I'm pretty sure it's a prequel to this game, to this one. I've beaten that one too, but in this, the gameplay is always different. I feel like this one had the best gameplay, and yeah, seriously, if this is available, I unfortunately don't have PlayStation 3 or 4, but if this is available on there, buy it. It's a must play. I love this game. You can have multiple saves on this. It all takes place on the same block, so to speak. You can have multiple saves on the same... It doesn't take up any more blocks. Like, the old PlayStation memory card blocks, the way that worked. But, yeah, I had multiple saves on this, and one of them, one of the saves I looked back, it had... I was at the last level, and it had, I think it was like 23 hours of gameplay or something. So I could, if I took this out right now and started playing it, I could probably beat it in a week or less. But yeah, this game is, it's a lot like Final Fantasy Tactics. It's, the same type of gameplay. Well, this one is anyways. There's a ton of characters in it. Hold on. It's the reason that it's only one disc, but the case is big because the instructions are big. And it shows a lot of the characters in here.